read to you if that's acceptable. For the Police Conduct Review Panel, we have Mary Aho, who's a new appointment, who's joined us here today with a statement. Donald Belfield, who's a reappointment.
Mr. Farr,
yes.
If you can just limit it to item number 2, we'll take care of item number 3 in a little while, please. Okay.
My apologies.
Yeah, no, not a problem. So let's just take care of item number 2, which is the appointments for the Police Conduct Oversight Commission.
So that's just Luke Davis and Jeffrey Wade. I have a statement from Luke Davis. I can read it this time.
Please go ahead.
Minneapolis City Council, my name is Luke Davis, and unfortunately I'm not able to be present, but I would like to express my interest in serving on the Police Conduct Oversight Commission. I'm expecting my first child next year, and community has taken on a new meaning for me. I want to give back to the city I love, and I feel as though this could be a good way for me to put my skill set to use. Professionally, I'm a software architect for Thomson Reuters, working in the R&D group for Westlaw. I'm a math major and have spent my career breaking down big problems into small problems using logic and analysis. As I understand it, that processing and analytical disposition may be helpful to the PCOC. If that is the case, I will be honored to serve my community in that capacity. Thank you all for your time you put into our city. You are appreciated. Best regards, Luke Davis.
Mr. Wade?
Chair Yang, council members, my name is Jeffrey Wade. I'm a longtime resident of Minneapolis, and when I say long time, I'm 63 years old, and I've lived in Minneapolis for 63 years. The only time I've been away from this city was college and my travels. I'm here to ask you to confirm my appointment to the Police Commission on Oversight, and I can tell you a little bit about myself. I currently work for the state of Minnesota. I am the Director of Labor Relations for the Minnesota State College and University System. I've been there for 26 years. Prior to that, I was a mail handler with the United States Postal Service. I've had 2 careers in my life. That's it, Postal Service and state of Minnesota. So I'm pretty proud of that. I'm really excited to be able to serve my community here in Minneapolis for in this regard. And I take to heart what the gentleman said here about getting out in the community. And it's not a secret. I live in Councilwoman Palmisano's ward, and I plan on getting out there. So it's an exciting sort of prospect for me to do something to protect and to support both the community and the police officers in this city. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Council members, any questions? All right. At this point, we will open up the public hearing for the Police Conduct Oversight Commission appointments. Anybody here to speak on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's one of the great values of knowing the rules and regulations and being able to manipulate them. The opportunity to make at least 3 appearances in a public hearing is outstanding. And congratulations, Mr. Wade. Congratulations.
You get 9 minutes.
Thank you.
3 right now, but 9 total.
The position that Mr. Wade and Mr. Davis have applied for, and which I'm quite sure they will be confirmed, are extremely important. And actually, I attempted to lay foundation on the Civil Rights Commission situation, because this is going to be a very telling year and a very telling election in 2017. Your police department has worked very hard to make things better, to correct things, to make the necessary adjustments, and et cetera. And so it would be important with regard to the kind of support that the mayor, but specifically Chief Harto and others receive in doing what needs to be done so that a city doing election 2017 feels comfortable, that attention has been paid to many of the issues that so tore us apart as a community this time last year. But as Council President Johnson has said on a number of occasions, unfortunately, it has been a problem that has been with us far too long. And consequently, nothing is going to be corrected in most of our lifetimes But the fact of the matter is that we make the attempt to do it. I appreciate and respect the statement by Mr. Wade that he clearly understands the importance and the value of walking amongst the masses. None of us become so elite that we cannot have our garments touched by the masses. We are a part of the masses. And we don't hear that enough, if you will, that people are not afraid of those that they represent. That is extremely important. And so I'm very proud to be a supporter of those that you have nominated because they will be given the maximum benefit of a doubt, if you will, that they will do the best job possible. But I must say to you, as a longtime activist and troublemaker in our city, that 2017 is going to be extremely crucial. Not only starting with situations on the federal level in Washington, D.C., but funding and et cetera may not be as rapid to this city based on certain doctrines and et cetera that we all know is at play. And so there will be some things that will have to be done on a shoestring. And this is where we need imagination, but this is where we need a Mr. Wade and a Mr. Davis to reassure the citizens that there is a sincere commitment to look after their interests. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, committee members, Chuck Turchik. I live at 2112 Portland Avenue South, but also North High School, class of 64. I want to tell you about an incident that happened in my neighborhood yesterday evening. It may sound familiar because a remarkably similar incident occurred right before you last appointed people to the PCOC and the Police Conduct Review Panel, the last time, and the time before that, and the time before that. Yesterday evening, two friends were walking down the street. They've asked that their names not be used, so let's call them Blong and Barbara. They saw at the far end of the block someone kicking another person who was on the ground. Immediately, they ran down the block, and Blong pulled out his phone and called 911 while he was still running. Well, about halfway there, they saw that the person doing the kicking was a police officer, and the young man on the ground was in handcuffs. The officer saw him and stopped the kicking. Seconds later, a squad car pulled around the corner, two officers got out, and they assisted in getting the handcuffed young man into the car. Blong and Barbara tried to talk to the two new officers on the scene, but they were told they might be interfering with a lawful arrest, and if they had a complaint, they could contact the OPCR, and the car drove off. Still catching her breath, Barbara said, "Blong, we've got to report this." And Blong said, "Well, we did enough already. We ran down here and stopped it, and I called 911. And Barbara said, "That's not enough. What if this officer does this to someone else tomorrow or the next day?" And Blong said, "I don't really want to get involved." Barbara, more disappointed than angry, stalked off, and Blong yelled after her, "Besides, someday I might want to apply to be on the PCOC or the Police Conduct Review Panel, and if you've filed a complaint against an officer within the past 5 years, you can't." Barbara ignored him. The next morning, which would be this morning, Barbara went down to the OPCR and filed a complaint against the police officer. And it turns out Blong was right. He is eligible to serve on the PCOC and the PCRP, and Barbara isn't for the next 5 years. That is insane. But that's true for your appointments today and has been the case for all your previous appointments to the PCOC and the PCRP. Every time you recommend these appointments to the City Council, you endorse, you ratify that insane policy. Now, I am sure the people you're appointing today are fine people. They are, after all, essentially volunteering their time to make this a better city. But for all we know, we may be getting all Blongs and no Barbaras. You can correct this absurd policy. Why you don't do so is beyond me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Hi, Dave Bicking again, 4200 Cedar. Yes, like Ron, I know that I can speak 3 times. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I have some comments particularly regarding the PCOC. There's some very good people leaving the PCOC. What's interesting is that 3 people have their terms expiring, but only 2 appointments are to be made today. So that's leaving a seat open on the PCOC. I hope you are aware of that. I know there were 2 additional people who applied who were not accepted. That may be for a very good reason. I really couldn't tell you at this point. But yes, I saw Afshin Farouzan last night, who I respect very much for his work on the thing. He unfortunately is planning to leave the city, so he did not reapply. But as I said to him, apparently he's irreplaceable. So I'm sorry to see the PCOC down to only 6 people. They do some very good work. They've made some excellent suggestions. Unfortunately, they're only allowed to make suggestions regardless of what the title is, the Police Conduct Oversight Commission. And they have been given no power whatsoever of oversight, let alone oversight over police conduct. They can suggest policies, but that's as far as it goes. So I hope the new people coming on are either aware of that or going to agitate for a change to that. I know some of the outgoing people have been frustrated. They will be making statements, I believe, when they leave. I wouldn't want to characterize those. That's up to them. But I hope that you will listen to what people say who have been serving on the PCOC. One particular frustration is the PCOC did excellent work on the body camera policy. The police department incorporated almost none of that. And this city council appropriated a commitment of $6 billion. And it was 2 working days later that you found out from the police department what the policy was for those body cameras. That is absolutely backwards and just showed, that was a terrible slap in the face to the PCOC, that they recommended the policy. They did all this work. It's really an excellent effort. And you make that financial commitment without holding the police department to any policy whatsoever. So they can make suggestions. A few of those have been taken. But I think it's time for you to be more aware of what they're doing, their lack of power, and to see if you can either do something about that, or as one of the people has suggested, maybe the word oversight should be removed from their title. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Any other speakers? Any other speakers? Okay, I will close this public hearing. Council members, any questions or comments? Councilmember Gordon.
I appreciate the comments, and I had a few comments, and I also had a question. If there's still a 3rd seat open, I'm just curious about when we plan on filling that, and are we going to extend the application and open that for more applicants in order to do so?
Chair Yang, Councilmember Gordon, we were planning on participating in the spring appointment cycle. We actually typically don't do that, but because of that seat that we have available, it was up in the air a bit with Commissioner Farouzan as to whether he was going to move and when. So that's why we've decided we had 2 suitable candidates to move forward, but we do plan to participate in the spring appointment cycle. So that seat would be open. We anticipate going through the same process, interviews, applications, et cetera.
Okay, because I do know one person who missed the deadline and wanted to apply, and so I can tell them to look for the spring cycle if they're still interested.
Most definitely.
Yeah, so I think that's helpful. I was also curious if there had been any thought given to reviewing the ordinance. I know that we've heard about this 5-year prohibition, and I think it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense to a lot of people. I've also heard other concerns about the ordinance, including that the council appoints the chair to the PCOC. I remember even that surprised some council members. So I'm interested in getting a review of the ordinance. It's more thoughtful. I'm wondering if there's anything planned right now, and certainly that would include the PCOC to look at it after they've been operating for a while and see if there's any changes. Are there any plans so far that you have or the department has for reviewing that and recommending any improvements?
Chair and Councilmember Gordon, we haven't had any plans on that issue specifically, but it's something we're definitely open to discussing. I can see the concerns on both sides of it, that you don't want to be prohibitive, but also you want to make sure that people aren't seeking appointments on either one of these commission or review panel in a punitive manner. So we'd want to make sure in moving forward that we kind of get a good neutral path in the middle. And I think OPCR has tried really hard to show that, we're a neutral, fair investigation agency. And I want to make sure with any appointment on the review panel and the commission that we kind of maintain that. But we're definitely open to discussing it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I can understand the original intention that Councilmember Samuels probably had in the 5-year. It just seems like a large amount of time, and it also implies that there's some consequences to you for. I mean, it sets up, I think, a deterrence for filing complaints that we don't want. So it might be worth a bigger discussion. So we'll just put that in the bike rack or whatever, maybe until next year to think about. But I also just wanted to state it now so PCO members might start thinking about that, what review they participate. I did want to comment on one other thing, the term oversight and the fact that the PCOC is advisory. Those of you who have heard me speak on this in the past will know that that I also feel like the council is very much advisory when it comes to the police department, the way the charter is set up, so that I can appreciate that the PCOC is frustrated, because I share that frustration. Because when we do get to approve a budget, so it might make some sense to don't approve a budget allocation until you have a policy, but the fact of the matter is we could approve a budget allocation and they could change the policy and they don't need to come back to us and discuss the policy if they're the police department changing the policy. So right now the charter says the mayor supervises the police department. And the council doesn't. We do approve the appointment of the chief, and we do approve the budget. So we have a little more authority and involvement in the PCOC. But maybe oversight's the wrong word. I don't know. But I can certainly appreciate the frustration they may feel sometimes, because I felt it myself, even sitting up here. So I think that's all that I really had to comment on. I can move approval of the two if you'd like. We've got Lene. Okay.
Yes. Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With respect for Councilmember Gordon's comments, I would like to move item 2 to confirm Mr. Wade and Mr. Davis for the Police Conduct Oversight Commission.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. All right, and let's move to our third item, which is the confirmation of mayoral and city council appointments to the Police Conduct Review Panel.
Chair Yang, council members, we have 4 candidates we're putting forward to you. Mary Aho, who is here with us today. She's a new appointment to the Police Conduct Review Panel. Donald Belfield, who will be a reappointment. Nak Wen, who is a reappointment. And Teresa Cattouse, who's also a reappointment. I have statements from both Nak Wen and Teresa Cattouse to share with you if that's acceptable. First is from Nak Wen. Having an opportunity to serve on this panel for the past 2 years has been very rewarding. I'm making a difference at a time in our society where the conduct of police officers has come under scrutiny due to current events. As a panel member, I have a voice. I represent the community as a person who has served in the public sector her entire adult career. I represent the diverse community that we live in as a minority and as a woman who has faced discrimination and stereotype. I represent the community as a mother and a concerned citizen. As a group, we are invested in representing the community to ensure public safety and hold officers accountable when they make choices that are not aligned with the department policies and code of conduct. I look forward to continuing to work as a panel member, and I thank you for the opportunity. The next statement I have is from Teresa Cattouse. The reason I would like to be part of the review panel is due to my passion for growth, and with growth comes new opportunities. This is a very gratifying moment for me. Through my work in emergency management, as well as my volunteer work, I have been very fortunate to pursue those passions with much success. I feel like I can make a difference in many lives and potentially the review panel's success as well. When you love what you do, you are eager to share your knowledge with others, and I am very effective with obtaining adequate information and doing extensive research to make myself most effective.
Chair Yang, council members. Hi, my name is Mary Aho, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to address you today and speak about why I want to be a part of the Police Conduct Review Panel. Most of my life, I've been interested in justice. I majored in sociology with a focus in law and criminology at the University of Minnesota when I started my time living in Minneapolis. And my idea was that I was going to become a lawyer, but then 9/11 happened, and My plans changed and I found myself instead applying to join the FBI. And I worked for the FBI as an intelligence analyst for about 8 years. My time at the Bureau allowed me to learn about the unique pressures, constraints, and thought processes of law enforcement officers of all types from every level. But working in law enforcement didn't completely fulfill my thirst for justice. And since leaving the Bureau, I've been looking for a way to help those on the other side of the coin. Those accused of crimes and those who are victims of the abuse of power. And of course, the average citizen who wants a fair criminal justice system. When I learned of the opening on this panel, I immediately knew I needed to apply. It perfectly marries my passions for justice with my experiences in law enforcement as an analyst and allows me to scratch an analytical itch that I haven't been able to scratch since leaving the FBI to pursue another career. I care deeply about fairness and doing what is right. Police officers and citizens deserve both of those things in equal measure. Police have the power of life and death over us and must be held accountable when they make mistakes. Doing so is right for the majority of police officers who continue to do the right thing, and is right to ensure law enforcement maintains the trust of the public. This is vital to all of us if we want a peaceful and prosperous community, and I know I do as a Minneapolis resident. But police are also citizens and deserve a fair and unbiased hearing when they are accused of misconduct. I recognize that they have some of the most challenging duties that anyone can ever have in a profession. I promise that as long as I serve on this panel, I will do my best to ensure both the police and citizens get a fair review of any issues before me, that I will be a positive bridge between the police and the people they serve and protect, that I will use my fierce passion for justice and truth to be a guiding force for this panel and provide my best judgment and advice to the council so that you can make the best decision for all involved. In short, I want to be a part of the solution, and thank you for allowing me to have that chance.
Council members, any questions of the speaker? All right, seeing none, I will open up this public hearing. And anybody who wants to speak, please come up to the microphone, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A deep appreciation on my part of knowing the rules and the regulations. On this particular component, I think it's important that we give serious reflection to the statement read to you with regards to an apparent incident last night in our city in North Minneapolis. And I would certainly encourage both Council President Johnson and Chairman Yang to request a full report from the police department. I understood the comment of the councilman with regards to who controls the police and et cetera. There used to be a time in this city prior to a decision by the City Council in 1973 to strip the Minneapolis Civil Rights Commission, not the department, the commission, of its subpoena authority and et cetera. Probably would help if you would go up in the tower and bring out the archives and get a better understanding of how things have happened in this city over the last 40 to 50 years of the life expectancy of many of us. I think it would be helpful if the department, who I know listens to these public safety meetings, particularly in that they must respond to you, I would like to see a proactive response from the department, and I would like to see them contact the office of the chairman and Council President Johnson and be prepared to make a formal presentation with regards to the allegations that were made. And by the way, so you understand, sir, I don't dismiss the allegations. Unfortunately, problems continue. And not all blame can be placed on the chief and the administration for the rendering of justice or corrective action. But I would certainly appeal to you as one who has had a long experience that based on the declaration and the statement that was read of an incident of a handcuffed individual, apparently a person of color, who was being brutalized by the police based on that, I think that it warrants at the highest possible level as it pertains to the authority of this council that a full report be made to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Chuck Turchick, 2112 Portland Avenue South, Minneapolis. To set the record straight, my story was fictional to make a point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dave Picking, 4200 Cedar Avenue. But of course, such an incident does happen quite frequently and could have happened. So as far as the PCRP appointments, I'm very glad that Mary Aho came here to speak. Unfortunately, it's the last time we're likely to see her or see any of the people on that panel. I have my papers here. Sorry. The panel works entirely in secrecy. I have not seen any of its members in public regarding their work in the 4 years that the panel has existed. There are outreach opportunities provided by the PCOC, but to my knowledge, no person from that panel has ever appeared at any of those to discuss their role, discuss how they make their decisions, or anything else. So this is, I mean, they need to do their job, obviously, in secrecy, but that doesn't mean that they need to be so totally removed from the community, both in the sense of explaining their work or in the sense of receiving some public comment, because though they are supposed to act as neutral arbiters, all people should receive some public input and comment. Judges receive that. They appear in public and people have a chance to comment on their work. So I hope that they will do that. I think that the council needs to pay attention to the PCRP and the OPCR as a whole, not just once a year when these appointments are made. Back 1 year, this is over 3 years ago now, but back when the OPCR was formed, it was determined that it would be a good idea to take a look at this a year later because, after all, it was very controversial at the time. You did schedule that, and you took a look as a committee at the OPCR that prompted somewhat by a Star Tribune headline, 437 complaints, no discipline. And at that time you said, well, let's wait and see. And that may have been a reasonable thing. It takes a while for stuff to go through there. But we've been waiting it over 3 years now to wait and see what happens. I don't have the very latest statistics because it takes quite a while for those to come through and then for us to analyze the officers and the discipline. But the last time we took a look after about 3.5 years of work, there had now been 2 officers who had received discipline as the result of a citizen complaint. Several others have received discipline through the Internal Affairs Unit, and a couple others due to complaints from supervisors, or in one case, a Wisconsin officer. But the idea of civilian review, with this, which this pretends to be, is that it would have some results, have some impact, aside from the system which is already in place for the police. So the only additional impact this has had in 3.5 years with 1,400 complaints is one officer got a day off without pay and another officer got a written reprimand. That's just on an idea of efficiency or whatever. That seems like an awful lot of work for an awful lot of investigators and a whole lot of panel decisions to lead to almost nothing. Not all of the problems with the OPCR. Some of the things are sustained, but then they're successfully grieved, and probably justifiably so in some cases. But the final output amounts to almost nothing, and I hope the people who are being appointed now are aware of that. And as I say, it would be good for this to be reviewed by the public and by this committee. Another issue, and one of the things I'd like to ask people on the panel, it was noted in the 2015 annual report for the OPCR that of 222 decisions made by the panels on allegations. Now, this is a whole lot less than 222 cases that ever get to the panel, but that might represent 60, 70 cases. But in 222 cases that reached the panel, only one of them was not unanimous. Now, with Albert in total secrecy, but in any other context, that would look like a rubber stamp or a one-party state or a, totally, what is the purpose of the civilians on this panel if everybody has the same idea every time? Or do they have different ideas and then just call it unanimous just to make it look good? I really don't know. But that's something that I hope you will look into, and I hope you will talk about the OPCR more than just in having this public hearing once a year on new appointments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Any other speakers? Any other speakers? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council members, any questions or discussion with regards to the police conduct review panel appointments? Right. Seeing none, I will move for approval of all appointments. And I will also say that, after this, I want to address one other point, but I'd like to just make this motion first, and then we'll just kind of take care of the rest afterwards. So the motion before us is to approve the slate of appointments for the police conduct review panel. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. And, I wanted to point out something, and this is in regards to all of the appointments. One of the points made by Mr. Bicking a little bit earlier about, having all these appointments, but not really knowing who these people are in terms of, not having a profile or not having anything that really gives us a good sense, relative to just looking at the RCAs. The RCAs really don't give us, a profile of the people. And so, I'd like to just ask, whether I will ask the city attorney, whether it's appropriate just to direct staff to do that, or if we could just let them know, from the dais that that would be what we would like to see, in the future. Whichever works, let me know.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I'm not sure what portions are classified under the Data Practices Act as public or private. I didn't look at that issue, but I will. And, we can make that as much a part of the process as the law allows.
Okay, that would be great. So I will just, let staff know that, with regards to having public hearings about folks, pointing the folks, if we don't know who they are, it's kind of pointless to have a public hearing regarding them. And so, at some point, we'd like to just have some the public portions that are, allowable to be released. That we have that within the RCAs as well, just so that it helps folks to really, get a good sense of the people. That would be wonderful. So I would just throw that out as, just advice, and we'll kind of go from there. Councilmember Gordon.
Well, I think that's an excellent idea too. And after kind of seeing the emails about this, I did forward it to the city clerk, just a question about, is there some reason why we wouldn't be posting the public information on the agendas, especially when there's a public hearing? But we do a lot of appointment approvals, and I think if there is public information available, it probably wouldn't take that great of an effort to just post it on the agenda when the appointments come up, at least of those individuals who are being proposed for appointment, which is what was shared this through a Data Practices Act. So that's like such a big hurdle for people to go through to get information. It's a little bit ridiculous. I haven't heard back from them yet, but I think it might even be something that the clerk could just make as a matter of course when these appointments come up. Might be a decision they can make, but I think we could, I would say that if we get more information about it and there seems to be a need for some kind of council direction, we might want to think about that even at the next council meeting just based on this, because I agree it's a good idea. Now, we might get some information about why it isn't too, so we'll have to take that into consideration, but I'm glad the attorney is now looped in on it as well. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody with any more comments? Seeing none, we are through with our business. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. And with no further business before us, we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.